Hello all, and welcome to Screenworks. I'm John Uriarte, Screenworks curator of the Photographers Gallery. Together with Marco De Mutis, digital curator at Fotomuseum Winterthur in Switzerland, we created this collaborative program of fortnightly live stream events more than 3 years ago. In 2020, the two institutions joined forces to continue their investigation of the changing role of photography in its network and digital forms. Each event is led by an artist, a researcher, or a curator who takes the audience to the places where their core artistic practice takes place. And every event is usually different. It can be a live performance, behind the scenes scenario, or a guided online tour, among other formats. I guess that this evening is going to be more of the latest one. Besides the Away from Keyboard event we hosted in London sort of like a month ago, we have hosted more than 60 online Screenworks so far. You can find video recordings of each of them on our website and also on our YouTube channel. Please remember that if you have found Screenworks useful for your professional or personal interests, consider subscribing to folders. For €7, you support the program and its artists, and also get your personalized folder on folders.screenworks.com. There you will receive files and extra content from the artists and researchers of Screenworks. And now some housekeeping information. Your microphone should be muted to avoid noise disturbances. If it's still on, please mute it now. We are recording and will be archiving this event. Please use the public chat to ask questions, or feel free to send a private message to Marco or to me.
Hello from me too. I'm Marco De Mutis, digital curator at Fotomuseum Winterthur. Today, we will be accompanied on a guided tour across the internet and across history, following some of the most important networked images that have circulated globally online. More specifically, we'll take a look at the circulation and spread of memes. Following different platforms, audiences and actors, image macros and context as medium, writer and researcher Aidan Walker will focus on 3 specific meme study cases: Distracted Boyfriend, Patrick Chained, and Dark Brandon. During the live stream, he will take us through different processes and infrastructures that enable these images to travel, tracing the web of reposts, remixes, and reply guides that have allowed the spread of memes in the last 6 years. Aidan invites us to think of his role of meme researcher tonight in a similar way to the scientists who place a GPS monitor on the foot of a migrating bird, gaining insight not just into the individual animal, but into its flock, its species, and its entire ecosystem. Memes, he claims, are like those birds. Through following memes and their evolutions, we can gain insight not just into them, but into the broader forces and systems that steer their movement and increasingly our lives. Aidan Walker is a writer and editor at Know Your Meme, the most thorough public meme research site and archive on the internet. Walker has a BA in English from Reed College and has just finished an MA in History Literature from Columbia University in Paris. He has published multiple reports and articles on various topics related to internet cultures and digital art for a variety of outlets. Dear Aidan, thanks for accepting our invitation. We are excited to join this expedition with you. The screen is yours.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction, Marco. And thank you, John and Marco, and everyone at Screenwalks for inviting me to come today. It's really exciting, and I'm really honored. As you sort of know from the blurb for this and the introduction, I'm a writer and editor at Know Your Meme, where I've worked for 2 years, but I'm not here in any official capacity. So the opinions I'm sharing are not necessarily the official opinions of Know Your Meme. They're more of what I've found in my time as working there and also as an independent researcher. In the course of my sort of studies for my master's degree, I wrote what I believe is the first academic monograph on the distracted boyfriend meme. If you know of one that's been written before, I'll be upset because it means I'm not the first, but I'd love to read it. So with that said, I guess we'll dive right in and we'll begin with Distracted Boyfriend. And we'll start with the Know Your Meme page for Distracted Boyfriend. So here's the Know Your Meme page for Distracted Boyfriend. At Know Your Meme, you can see this is one of our bigger memes. It's definitely a meme that's entered the canon. It has almost 2 million views. There's over 600 examples in the image gallery. There's been an explanatory video. There's been several editors, including myself. And we always begin with an about section, sort of describing sort of the 101 of the meme. Then we trace it back to its original origin, its first posts on the internet, the first traces of this piece of visual media. We analyze its spread, talk about major moments, and then often these spread sections get very long, especially with a meme as influential and popular as Distracted Boyfriend. And then we have various examples in these image galleries, which are populated both by editors like myself, who also write a lot of the copy that goes into these articles and do a lot of the research and fact checking, and then also by users on the site. And so Know Your Meme, which has been around since kind of in this current database state since around 2010, is really the internet's only and oldest meme archive of this kind. And the secret sauce is that half of it is sort of professional curation and fact checking and journalistic standards. And the other half is, people on the internet just coming in, posting their images, sharing the memes they find. And so Distracted Boyfriend, it begins as a stock photo taken by Spanish photographer Antonio Guillem and posted on November 1st, 2015 to the stock photo platform iStock. So as you can see, if I wanted to buy this image to use on my website or an advertisement, it would cost $12. Or I could do this monthly subscription plan and pay $29 a month to get this stock photo. And stock photos are really this sort of weird aspect of visual culture. The person who's written about them that I really love is Paul Frosch. And sort of what he says about it is it's not so much a picture of a thing as it is a picture of kind of a stereotype, your idea of a thing. And so Antonio Guillem, for example, clicking his page, he's taken a variety of other stock photos, which he sells. No one's really ever drinking water in this way in front of a sunset, but it's maybe the mental image you would have. So it's really useful for a brand to kind of sell that ideal. No one's ever been this happy to drink their morning cup of coffee, but that's the mental image we have. And it's sort of similar to Distracted Boyfriend in that it's possible that nobody's ever exactly been jealous in this way. Nobody's, this situation is such a stock situation. It's so generic. And it's in a way so open for you to assign meaning to it, which makes it useful for brands that want to appropriate this image and use it to sell or advertise something, but also for meme makers who want to turn it to their own purposes. And so there's a big tradition of stock photograph memes. Just kind of looking at Know Your Meme, something you can do. One of the big ones is Hide the Pain Harold, who went viral in 2011 originally. And this is a Hungarian man. He was an electrician. He came up sometime in the mid-2000s, take some stock photos, some extra money. And then in 2011, a bunch of people started posting him on image boards. And so, he's a guy on a phone. Nobody's really been on the phone in that way. It's kind of not real, the way the photo looks, but it's endlessly usable for memes. And so Distracted Boyfriend, when it comes around in 2017, it really fits into this pre-existing tradition of taking a stock photo and using it as a meme. And so there's a difference between something that's just a stock photo on some random obscure database and something that ends up deserving 2 million views as a Know Your Meme entry. And the earliest example of Know Your Meme was actually of Distracted Boyfriend. Sorry, was actually found not by Know Your Meme, by this Tumblr project, Meme Documentation, which Know Your Meme has often partnered with, and they're really chill. I've emailed with them a lot. They were active in 2015 and 2017, specifically about Tumblr memes. And going into their article on the origins of the man checking out another woman meme, or please stop saying it originates from that Instagram post, you sort of see a little bit of a behind the scenes of meme research. So Know Your Meme put up an article on Distracted Boyfriend on August 22nd, 2017. And at the time, we cited this Instagram user, which is kind of one of the earliest examples we were able to find, kind of combing through the archive. And as often happens, a lot of outlets like USA Today, BuzzFeed, and Vox kind of immediately cited Know Your Meme as the origin of this meme. But wait, plot twist. Scrolling through Tumblr, as is Meme Documentation's job, they found this early example involving Phil Collins, posted on 31st January 2017. Phil Collins, British musician, was into prog rock, but then, he kind of goes more towards pop. He has that song In the Air Tonight, great drum solo in the middle of it. Also the father of Lily Collins of Emily in Paris fame. And the prog rocker on Tumblr says, I saw this on an FB page, and I'm not sure who to source it to, but this is funny AF. And so, of course, this is the kind of thing you find these breadcrumbs, and meme documentation keeps looking. And what meme documentation finds is this Facebook page by this group Prog Snob, also on January 31st. And thanks to Khan for this pick. So you go back, you find out who Khan is. And it is a Turkish Facebook user on a very small prog rock specific meme fan group. And so as it's loading, you'll see that this is posted on January 30th, 2017. It's gotten 113 reactions, engagements. Meme documentation actually sort of continuing through digging finds out that it's likely from this much more private and since deleted Turkish political page, and maybe earlier in January there were postings, but this is really the earliest findable post. And so going through this for my research, one of the things that really interested me is if you look at the comments 6 years later, this is August 28th, 2017. So meme documentation's tracing back happens on August 25th and kind of publicizes this. This guy, Jose Ho, has tagged Jared Ho saying this is the earliest first known sighting of this meme. And looking at them, Jose Ho, he's senior research fellow at the Institute of Singapore. Human version looks like the bacon emoji, studied neuroscience at Oxford, lives in Singapore. And if we go back really quick, we'll see Jared Ho, who he's tagged here. I think that's him kind of in the center. He's also from Singapore. He's a teacher by day, asleep at night. They share last names, so I imagine they're cousins or brothers or something. And sort of in the mental fantasy I've concocted about this, Jose is over studying in Oxford, and he tags his brother in this meme because he's back in Singapore, and it's a way to connect. His brother's going to get this notification maybe in the middle of the night with the time zone difference. And that's what's really interesting about memes to me, is that like any kind of art, they become these places where people connect and people talk and people make bonds with one another. And so I don't know if the Jared and Jose Ho are actually brothers, but for me, that's really emblematic. So there's this January posting that happens in this Turkish group, but that remains kind of small and low intensity. And where this meme really takes off is in August of 2017, in kind of the last week of August of 2017. And the original origin that Know Your Meme cites is this meme, which was posted on Twitter on August 19th, 2017, in the morning, American time. It's a Saturday. And the user is at NM161, who I've kind of reconstructed from various articles is actually a German language user. And this meme shows, it's the youth. They're with capitalism, but they're pretty interested in socialism. And if you go to the original source on Twitter, now X, sadly, it's gone. The post is from a suspended account. And so sort of the central, pivotal, first distracted boyfriend meme is actually no longer accessible. And this is something that happens all the time in internet culture research. The archive you're relying on is often just evaporating in front of you. And so in order to kind of study it, which kind of poses methodological difficulties, you want to get there right as it's happening, or else you're going to lose it all. And this is kind of really different from, I think, other kinds of studies in visual culture or text stuff or history, and that you feel like you have all the time in the world because it's just on a piece of paper sitting in a library somewhere. But with internet culture, you really want to get there right as the trend is happening. But thankfully, like all memes, there's a lot of reposts of this one. And one of the most influential, which happened, I've timed it about an hour after this original post, and it's a real banger. It receives over 75,000 likes. It's by Omar Essam. It's the same meme an hour later. And in the replies to it, you see that this post also becomes a place where people are bonding. Someone says Photoshop and Bitcoin, cryptocurrency bros even in 2017 are still there. 2 days later, August 21st, somebody's found another stock photo that Antonio Guillem took in this series of photos that he did. And then someone down here claims to have fixed it. The day later, they're saying now the youth has been with socialism and it's turning towards food, regular social life, safe future, all these things that kind of capitalism doesn't give us. But Maxwell seems to think capitalism can. And so what's interesting to me is that you have this political statement being made, and then someone saying the opposite here. So we have a kind of a debate going on through memes. And if we go over here and look at Omar Assam, who he is an anti-war libertarian. So he's not actually a socialist, even though the meme might be read as socialist. And he's from Cairo, Egypt, born in 1989, the same year as Taylor Swift. And he hasn't posted in a while, but the last post he made in September 2018 is yet another distracted boyfriend meme. Kate Bush is abandoning regular melodies for, random vocalizations, and we're back at British avant-garde singers. So it's a nice little circular motion that's happened there. But Omar Assam is not the only person to post this meme. He posted on August 19th, but we continue to have viral postings, at first kind of centered around Twitter throughout the rest of that week. And sort of thinking about the way it works, August 19th is a Saturday, so the 20th is a Sunday, 21st is a Monday. This meme comes about on Thursday, on August 24th. It's one of my favorites. You have me. I have multiple pressing matters and responsibilities, but I really want to take a nap. 168,000 likes, 100,000 reposts. So you sort of imagine the visibility here. Someone's, trying to get a sugar daddy. Someone's, congratulating the person for getting a really good viral tweet. And one of the things I love about this one too is that it's kind of in showing more replies. You see, first of all, more memes being made, often using other stock photo formats. And then you see people being tagged in. And the first thing that attracted me to this meme to study distracted boyfriend was I was always someone who was really into poetry and lyric poetry. And I was really interested in sort of this pronoun, this me. Like in a lot of poems, there's always an I, there's a speaker, but it's never exactly the author, but it's never not the author. It's not you, but you're supposed to like really empathize with it. And so I feel like the me in this meme is a lot like the I in a poem, because, this could be literally me, Aidan Walker, or me, any one of you. But at the same time, it's also an us. It's a him because it's that guy. And, it's at Banana Brea, according to Chris. And Banana Brea is a partnered streamer on Twitch with 67,000 followers. And so this pronoun is really capacious and can hold a lot of things. But, sort of aside from that, continuing on following the posting, another interesting thing about this meme is it happens in August of 2017. On August 21st, 2017 was the Great American Eclipse. And if you were in the US at the time, you'll remember, people drove to be in the path of totality. It came over in the middle of the afternoon, which is about the same time that this meme was posted, kind of documenting that event. And, here you have me, scientific evidence supporting the dangers of staring at the sun and a solar eclipse. Around the same time, there was a viral photograph of Donald Trump not obeying this advice and staring directly at the sun, which in turn also became a meme. And so memes sort of become this way to immediately respond to events that are going on. And sometimes it's something innocuous, like, there's a solar eclipse, let me make a meme about it. And other times it's sort of these serious political or personal issues or feuds within a fandom or something like that. So it kind of becomes this place where people document their lives. And then there's people saying, making jokes in the comments. So it becomes this site where, if I were a guy on Reddit wanting to get clout, I'd find the popular post, I'd make a comment, and I'd get my clout. So continuing on, another one of my favorite viral postings of this meme is by this account, Bruce Bogbutter, or at Dorcas Malorcas. I think this S is pretty international because I've seen it both in the US and France, but it's sort of the thing that kids love to Google. Got your normal S, an 11-year-old abandons it, wants the cool S. 60,000 likes. Already we're at August 24th. So this is that Thursday. The meme's kind of been viral for about a week. So it's kind of too normie already. And Bruce Bogbutter looked at my phone, got annoyed at this meme and instantly made this, sorry, I hate myself. Someone says yet again, congrats on the hashtag numbers, pal. Such relatable content. You're famous. How do you feel? And Bruce Bogbutter says, I hope they put me on a BuzzFeed list so I can change my profile name to fuck BuzzFeed and fuck capitalism. So if we go on Google and we do BuzzFeed distracted boyfriend, over on August 30th, there's 21 distracted boyfriend memes that'll make you die laughing. This is just a listicle collection that BuzzFeed is famous for by Kevin Smith. And we scroll through, he's kind of clearly gone on Twitter. He's curated a bunch of these, scooped them up. And we go through, taking a while loading. Got to load all the ads as well as all the embeds and images. We go up to number 15 on that S. Dorcas Malorcas has changed their username to Abortions on Demand. But you'll notice as it loads, that this Abortions on Demand, trust me, it's going to change, because I DM'd Dorcas Malorcas about this and said, can you still do that? And they said, no, actually. Twitter changed something, not necessarily inside the HTML, but I think in the JavaScript code for the embed that all these websites used, that actually forces it to be the original username. But in that second before it loads, you see what the prank that Bruce Bogbutter did. And so this meme is in BuzzFeed on August 30th, and the prophecy has come true. Bruce Bogbutter has made it onto the listicle despite themselves. And so kind of this falls into the normal pattern of viral meme spread. And I think the best representation I've ever seen of this is on the meme economy subreddit, tagged under mimetic theory. This is a graph kind of showing the cycle. And so if you apply distracted boyfriend to this, you've got the stealth phase original post. The only people who know about it are really a bunch of cool Turkish guys who are on this prog rock Facebook group. Then you kind of get the awareness phase. It's pretty big on Twitter. There's first reposts. It starts to be overused. Know Your Meme article written August 22nd. It's now kind of in the public. August 23rd, greed, delusion. August 24th, the BuzzFeed explainer comes out. And so the greed and delusion here, part of it is people searching for clout, but another part of it is publications. And this is interesting because it's where Twitter and Google kind of combined to make the way the news cycle works, at least in the United States in 2017. And so on this archived Google search, I don't know how reliable a method this is, just kind of doing advanced search for August 24th, 2017. But if you were to Google distracted boyfriend meme on that day, you'd get some images, you'd get this BuzzFeed article, this Inverse article, New York Magazine, Daily Dot, Complex, Know Your Memes image gallery, Dig. And all of these articles are essentially the same article. Published on August 24th, the meme has kind of reached peak virality on Twitter. And what they are is they are playing the SEO game, search engine optimization. And so what they're looking for is having a bunch of keywords that people would search when they're looking for the meme. So you have to have meme in the headline because Google's going to say, oh, your article has what people are looking for. We're going to place it high in the search results. Stock photo from Shutterstock, so they explain where it's from. They say Antonio Guillem, give a link. They'll usually cite Know Your Meme as kind of the first source talking about it. After August 24th, they're also citing that meme documentation Tumblr blog that I talked about. And then there's sometimes a little analysis on like what it means for society. It's someone writing it, like in 3 hours trying to hit a deadline. So it's good, but it's, often pretty rushed. And then it's just a bunch of examples of it. It's essentially a listicle at that point. So you just have a bunch of these. And it's not just BuzzFeed, but it's all these other publications essentially write this same article. And the way that one of the guys that I interviewed who was doing this kind of journalism, the way he described it to me was that he said it's actually pretty democratic, because if you're trying to get page views from search, you don't have to be the New York Times to get the most popular article. You can be a smaller publication, but if you're canny and you get to the meme first and you put a bunch of keywords in and you write a quality piece, you can get to the top and you'll have a really good search day. And these are all the same article, and the methodology is always, you're aiming to get a bunch of keywords in for good SEO, and you're scooping up all your examples from Twitter. And often you're discovering the meme first on Twitter. A lot of the journalists I talk to are like, I have Twitter for both personal and professional use. I don't distinguish the accounts, and they're scrolling all the time and they're finding leads to write about. So there's some analysis here. Solar eclipse meme, the one I mentioned from Reddit. Reddit is the other place where it's easy to gather memes. 4chan and Facebook are much harder because they're often sort of closed groups. 4chan deletes itself and you have to go to a third-party archive to find stuff. And so a lot of the record for memes we have actually comes from Reddit and Twitter. And Twitter most of all, which is one of the reasons why it's kind of so, I mean, this is really a minor concern, but one of the reasons why it's bad that Elon Musk kind of ruined Twitter is that, what are meme historians going to do? You can no longer find a lot of the memes you're looking for. So one of the things that's interesting here is that it shows the way that Reddit, Twitter, and Google are all connected, at least for this journalist, but it's also connected in the lives of everybody else working and living and playing, living, laughing, and loving on the internet. So as sort of an example of this, you have, well, first of all, this meme that kind of shows the end of the cycle towards when it's played out. Everyone, this fucking meme, whatever meme this replaces this in like a week. So this is August 25th, I believe. People are already sick of it. But also on August 25th, you have people posting and reposting memes from other platforms. And this one here is showing brands sound execution of a popular meme really fucking it up. So it's being moved August 23rd already. It's being moved to the other platform. And this is the one that is reposting. So this is August 25th. This got to be my favorite one from Anna. You have Zeus, Hera. He's going literally everything and anything. And if you know Greek mythology, Zeus is always, out of pocket, going off with other women, other nymphs. And Anna says down here, credits to Tumblr. Clarifies, again, I didn't make this, credits to Tumblr. To which someone replies, credit to Italy, LOL, Mona Lisa. The idea that you would credit a meme being kind of silly to this user, Henry Gumjack. But then down here, Anna says, I found the original one. So credit to Tumblr user, Catastrophe. It might help to link back to the post just so people don't crucify you, LOL. Anna never gives a link, much to my frustration. So I had to go in manually and find this Tumblr post from Catastrophe, which I think is from the 24th. Catastrophe asks, has this been done yet? Zeus, Hera, literally everything and anything. Catastrophe, I guess, is Amanda, who's 20 in 2017. She's from the US. She's a Tumblr user. And so you have a Tumblr meme that ends up on Twitter, and from there has ended up on Know Your Meme, has ended up in these listicles because now it's found through Google. And just to sort of stress this point again, towards the end of the meme's viral spread, this is on September 1st. You have me, traditional meme template, the increased structural clarity of reading meme left to right, sort of flipped around. This is on Dank Memes, 6 million gnome children users, one of Reddit's biggest meme places. And down here in the comments, you have someone saying, most upvoted comment, you should probably credit where you got the content from. No? Damn, the same caption as well. Kafka Simov says, I don't know, this all just makes the meme even danker. So kind of the same response as the person who posted the Mona Lisa with credits to Italy. Where the content comes from is Twitter. And it's a banger on Twitter. It has, 100,000 likes. And it is the exact same caption as the last one. And it's loading. So one of the things that's interesting about this is that any meme, we can say the meme originates on Twitter, but if it's on Twitter in 2017, it's going to be everywhere else as well. It's going to be on Reddit. It's going to be on Instagram. It's going to be on Tumblr. And, maybe it'll end up on your laptop screen behind the loading X logo in 2023. And so in my work at Know Your Meme, one of the things I did was this report that looked at our origin data for various memes from 2010, the site's beginning, to 2022. And this same sort of picture of the platforms and their balance of power emerges. 2017 is this really specific moment in internet history where something's on Twitter, it's going to be on Tumblr, Reddit, Facebook, Instagram as well. So Know Your Meme records the site of origin for every single meme that comes across the platform and has been doing that since 2010. Me and the other editors we developed this report. We started in 2010, looked at where all the memes came from. One of the biggest ones is 4chan, which is smaller today. And then a big chunk of the pie are these very small sites, not just DeviantArt or funny junk, but these really small image forums and micro pages. This is kind of Web 1.0. The major social platforms have been invented. They're around, but they don't have this massive amount of penetration in the market yet. Over here, we continue the analysis through 2011. Things look a little bit different already, just 1 year after. 2013 is peak Tumblr. This is the only year where Tumblr is #1 on the charts. Behind it is YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, 4chan. And as we get closer to 2017, we start to see something that, at least for my generation, looks a little bit more familiar. We have the rise of Vine. Twitter is #1, YouTube is here, Tumblr is here. One of the things that's interesting is if you think about Twitter and Vine, at least, those are predominantly mobile experiences. It's a little, chuggy and weird to be on Twitter on a laptop, or you can't really be on Vine on a laptop. So more and more meme activity and just the social internet is happening through phones rather than through laptops or desktops. Advance through 2015, 2016, sort of a hinge year with Trump's election. Facebook is a big deal. Tumblr has sort of declined. 4chan, smaller and smaller slice of the pie. And now in sort of 2017, the article is fun. We worked really hard on it, and I cite all these examples of sort of representative memes for these different years. But 2017, the year of distracted boyfriend, this is kind of the most balanced the chart's ever been in terms of the power between the different platforms. Twitter is definitely in charge, but YouTube, Reddit, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook are also there. And any meme that's going to start on Reddit or start on Twitter is going to travel through all these other platforms as well. So kind of just doing a fast forward, traveling forward in time a little bit, closer to where we are now in the year of our Lord 2022. TikTok is almost half of all the meme origins Know Your Meme has recorded. Twitter is still up there, and there's almost no smaller sites anymore. It's all major platforms. And so you sort of see this transition from kind of a Web 1.0 model where people are starting their own sites, running them. You have these close-knit communities to sort of what the contemporary internet is like, where there's these big platforms where we're all together, we're all, enraged and attracted to each other by this algorithm. And I'd be interested to see what it is in 2023, because you think, there's been so much change already. You have Threads, Blue Sky, the total collapse of Twitter. TikTok has undergone some changes too as well. And so it's really been an interesting year for the internet. But that's not at all unusual for everything to change in a year. In the course of a decade, we went from Tumblr being #1 to Tumblr's not even really on this. Tumblr still exists, of course, and we love Tumblr, but it's not as much of a force. And TikTok, in the course of 5 years, now has this central place in online culture. So distracted boyfriend kind of moves through this route, but there's other memes as well in the world. At a coaster that dropped. And one of these memes that going from 2017 to 3 or 4 weeks ago is Patrick Chained, which I found on my Twitter feed. And we're going to start with this SpongeBob episode from 2001. Let me know if y'all get the audio.
Let's throw peanuts at him and see how he likes it!
I get what I deserve! Ouch!
Hold your peanuts! Patrick Star is innocent! I have come here to reveal the truth! The They say that truth and honesty will be rewarded with trust and forgiveness. I'm here to lay my cards on the table, to trim the branches of deception from the tree of life, to shave away the unkempt sideburns from the face of truth.
Just get on with it!
I am the one who threw the peanut. I know now that what I have done is wrong. And so I say, I am sorry, giant performing oyster. I am sorry, Patrick. I am sorry, citizens of Bikini Bottom.
Hey! Let's throw peanuts at both of them!
Wait! Here's the real criminal! Top of the morning!
Mr. Krabs!
I knew it!
So, you know, SpongeBob feels bad. He thinks he's really done it. Patrick's been falsely accused, but as always, it's the spirit of capitalism, Mr. Krabs, who actually did the crime. And so if we go back to 123 here, 122 maybe, 121, we have this image of Patrick and Change from this 2001 episode called The Smoking Peanut. And so that's kind of the origin for this meme in this entry for Know Your Meme that I did. But that's not quite a meme. It's just a still from a SpongeBob episode, like how Distracted Boyfriend started as a stock photo on the stock photo website. And so the first kind of example of it being used as a meme, I'm finding 2019 over in Reddit's meme economy, which, if you'll remember, was also the site where I found that chart. This is an object labeling meme like Distracted Boyfriend. So you have things in a picture that you're labeling with different objects. This one kind of goes along with the plot of the SpongeBob episode where society is attacking Patrick, who represents gamers, but the real culprit is Mr. Krabs. And, you know, it's public schools, it's corrupt government, it's flawed justice system, it's a worthless college degree. So this is kind of along the spirit of the original episode, but it's not exactly what I saw on Twitter 4 years later when I was researching this meme. What I saw on Twitter 4 years later was a lot more like this, which is posted on the Elden Ring subreddit. It's what Elden Ring opinion will get you put here. And, you know, it's Patrick done up with this Elden Ring wizard hat and all these different things from the game. And inside of it, there's these 12,000 comments, which are all people discussing weird opinions and takes they have about the game. This is from 2022. Going through it, there's a bunch more in 2022. You know, what's a food opinion that will have you like this? Someone doesn't like gravy on their mashed potatoes, they're going to get attacked by the crowd. And the thing that this is the tweet I saw. What's a progressive take that will get you like this? And it's Patrick, you know, chained up here. And so going over there, looking at the original tweet, it's from a suspended account. 3 weeks ago already, this meme, the original posting is gone, just like Distracted Boyfriend. And the only record that's really there is, you know, either the screenshot I took or that someone else took. But the way this meme circulated was by a quote tweet. So looking back at the entry, you have this original post, but the most popular posts, which are much more popular than the original, are these quote tweets where somebody's taken this original question, what's the progressive take that will get you like this? And they've answered it in their own way. So you have stuff like, you know, there should be basic income for everybody is the answer that apparently is controversial. And they're sort of inviting an online argument by posting about it. And it's kind of framed in this way. Ultimately, sort of one of the problems that people start pointing out is that this is kind of starting fights in between different communities online. And these posts are worthless engagement farming, and someone will post what's a conservative take, and in a few days we'll have to read the same shit again, and it'll just get ugly and boring. And there's been a few other SpongeBob memes like this. There's one where Squidward is being dragged away, and it's like, what's, you know, something you'll say that'll get you like this. But what really interested me about this, and what really interests me about a lot of quote tweets, memes that spread through quote tweets in this way, is how it works kind of by this layering form, in which what you have is this bottom layer, September 14th. And up here, this is September 17th. Tony M is answering Naomi Chance. And it's kind of two contexts, one within the other one. And
Looks like we're having some technical issue. Aidan's Zoom is frozen, so maybe we'll have to wait a couple of minutes for him to try and rejoin the stream. Sorry, everyone, just like a moment of patience, please.
Still here? I can share screen again. So as I was saying, distracted boyfriend kind of works by this same mechanic. It's not a quote tweet, but you do have different contexts layered on top of each other. So at the very bottom, there is this 2015 photograph by Antonio Guillem that is a stock photo. On top of it are these texts that have been added. Around it is, in this case, it's Dank Memes, the subreddit. And each of these contexts is made by a different person for a different set of audiences and at a different time. And so this image means something differently in 2015 than the text make it mean in 2017. Then the post maybe makes the meme mean in 2017, because remember, this is a repost from Twitter. So it's been taken and planted into a new context, and it's been flipped around. And so sort of looking at it visually, what's happening here is that perspective is communicating not just the spatial distance between objects in the image, but it's also communicating a time relationship, because this photo happens before this text, which happens before this post, which happens before this screen walk. And it's also communicating a series of different situations, because the person making the photo is different from the person making the text, is different from the person posting it, is different from me. And so are the contexts in which they're talking. Reddit is a different place than Twitter, where this was originally posted, is a different place than a stock photo website. And I think I also see this represented in the actual figures within Distracted Boyfriend. So if you look at the image, she has one context. She's walking down the street. She has no idea that these people are here. She's just going on with her day. He has another. He's looking at her. He thinks she looks good. And she has yet another. She's looking at him, looking at her. So she's judging his response to her. And we, in turn, are judging her response to his response to her. And then Reddit or Twitter or whatever algorithm is judging our response to her response to his response to her. And so it's these layers that are just kind of continuing in this way, going onwards. And it's communicated by this depth of field. And in this specific meme, also by gaze. And if you kind of take that out in another sense, that kind of puts us as the viewer in this position of power, because we're the person who knows the most. We're the last. There's nobody behind me looking at this meme. But there is, because if I upvote this, Reddit sees it, and everybody else looking at this meme sees it, and that becomes a part of the reception. I would read this differently if it had, 8 upvotes instead of almost 19,000. And so my response then becomes another layer in this meme that people are looking through down to the other layers. And so kind of thinking about memes as sort of these layered contextual structures, where you're beginning with kind of the original stock photo or the original episode of a SpongeBob, and then you're going 20 years into the future to the question, a few days after the question to the answer. It's a kind of a way of looking at the world. And it becomes something a little more, it's still just a funny image, and it's still a guy looking at a girl's butt, but crucially, it's a guy looking at a girl's butt being judged and called out by another look. And we're kind of allied with this other look, and then we're in turn being looked at by the device or platform that's presenting it to us. And so sort of following along to the third meme that I'm going to tell you all about, and thinking about this contextual layering, this is what's at the bottom of Dark Brandon, which is this viral meme that the Biden administration has latched onto. This happened on October 2nd, 2021.
All of our partners, oh my God, it's just such an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me As you can hear the chants from the crowd. Let's go, Brandon. Brandon, you told me you were going to kind of hang back those first two stages and just watch and learn. What did you learn?
So that's an NBC journalist interviewing a NASCAR racer, Brandon Brown. The crowd is chanting, "Fuck Joe Biden," but she mishears it as "Let's go, Brandon." So that happens on October 2nd. By October 3rd, and this is kind of following the Know Your Meme entries research that's been established on this, there's a big right-wing Twitter account that reposts it. Again, it's a suspended account, but it invites a wide variety of other memes. So this is an object labeling meme. The crowd saying "fuck Joe Biden," and the journalist at NBC says, "Sounds like let's go, Brandon." And that's the same day as this event happened, and this video was posted to YouTube. The next day, Donald Trump Jr., son of the former president, posts it to Twitter. And great to see real America representing loud and proud at Talladega. Let's go, Brandon. And, you know, kind of a banger, but the real big post, which he posts on the October 5th on Instagram, of his father with a "Let's go, Brandon" cap, gets over 320,000 likes. There's something Oedipal going on there. Won't get into it, but Donald Trump Jr. is a major part of spreading this meme, and so are a bunch of other right-wing influencers. So by October 5th, 3 days after the original video, Ben Shapiro is selling "Let's go, Brandon" merch, and almost every other right-wing person has posted about it. And it's a really similar pattern to, if you're familiar with this song "Rich Men North of Richmond," that kind of got really popular out of nowhere. It's the same network of really committed right-wing influencers who are pushing it. And it's not just right-wing influencers who are memeing about it. It is Republican politicians who are memeing about "Let's go, Brandon." And so here is a meme posted by Texas Senator Ted Cruz. "I'd like to solve the puzzle." It's Joe Biden saying, "This sounds like let's go, Brandon." And, you know, because it's not enough to post a meme, Ted Cruz then has to go on the web show of Benny Johnson, who is kind of one of these influencer figures who was actually fired from BuzzFeed for plagiarism, and describe the making of this meme. I'll X out some of these tabs and maybe that will help.
Biden can't go to blue states now without there being armies of conservatives, freedom lovers, Trump supporters standing there saying, "Get out of our state." You saw this in Michigan. You saw this in New Jersey. They're saying, "Let's go,
Benny,
Brandon."
I'm sorry, I've got to fact check you. That's not what they're saying. They're saying, "Let's go, Brandon." There are a lot of NASCAR fans, and just Biden brings that out. That is the sentiment that bursts to the top.
Let's go, Brandon. You saw that. Did you see the clip?
I saw it, and it truly is stunning. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So yesterday, or 2 days ago, I tweeted out a picture of Wheel of Fortune with F space CK JOE B space DEN, and I said, you know, I'd like to solve the puzzle. It's "Let's go, Brandon."
So Ted Cruz has to describe making this meme. And what he kind of says here, at the end, he says, "This clip is surreal. It captures everything about fake news all at once." Which you think about sort of the American conservative movement's theory of the case with the media is that they're being purposefully misunderstood. And that's exactly what happens with the "Fuck Joe Biden" chant. It's heard as "Let's go, Brandon." So they're literally not being heard. That's really not what's going on, but that's what they think is going on. So that's part of why this meme really sticks with them. And it's a moment where they're opposing themselves to the media. And so that's one half of "Let's go, Brandon," or Dark Brandon, the Brandon half. Gets established in 2021 as really sort of a right-wing slogan. And people start chanting "Let's go, Brandon" instead of the more explicit anti-Biden chant at events everywhere around the country. So then the dark half of Dark Brandon comes about from this aesthetic called the Dark MAGA movement, which was actually pretty small, but there's sort of these accounts with a lot of high engagement that are posting it, kind of this small knot. It's really from kind of the neo-Nazi fringe, so I'm not going to show any of some of the most popular memes, but the core thing is kind of weird, deep-fried colors and laser eyes for Donald Trump. And this comes about in the spring of 2022. It kind of gets this major boost from this Newsweek article, which is actually pretty criticized because by describing the aesthetic, it kind of gives it more press attention. It's more of a meme than a political slogan, and Dark MAGA is a post-alt-right aesthetic that promotes an authoritarian version of Trump and dystopian Terminator-like images. I wrote a news piece on the Dark MAGA trend after this article came out, and you saw a massive spike in the amount of these memes that were being posted after they got attention from the press. And Dark MAGA, it's this sort of small right-wing movement, but it's also not that new. This is a meme from 2017 that well before 5 years before Dark MAGA that shows Donald Trump with glowing laser eyes. And laser eyes had already become a thing in deep fried memes, which kind of emerged in the mid 2010s, especially associated with Black Twitter. So it's sort of an aesthetic that actually is coming from a totally different part of the country than these Trump people who are using it. And so how do these two things combine to make Dark Brandon? By the summer of 2022, Let's Go Brandon is really entrenched kind of in the political culture of the United States, and it's coming up everywhere. And sort of these leftists kind of gives me dirtbag left vibes. They're kind of post-left, they're the alt-left in a way. They start posting these memes that kind of picture Biden as kind of this brutal figure, which if you sort of know about Biden, he's very old, he's kind of soft-spoken. And so it kind of, they're talking about Biden the way that, QAnon or conservative people talk about Trump is kind of the joke. So Dark Brandon content, trust the process, which is a QAnon slogan, we shall be rewarded. Kind of this prophetic apocalyptic languages. Summer of 2022, Antifa is fully armed and Grandpa Joe is here with his sunglasses, Dark Brandon making it happen. Now it's just the text Dark Brandon. There's not yet this aesthetic that's coming in. But other posts start to kind of bring in these more Dark MAGA kind of right-wingy aesthetics that come from this kind of 4chan-y hole of the internet, where you have it's Overjack kind of in this red, kind of thing going on. These are all in July of 2022. And sort of more from this July moment, no civilian casualties bear the witness to Dark Brandon's power. It's kind of, overzealous, a bit too much. And it kind of reaches this peak on August 1st, 2022, when Ayman al-Zawahiri, the leader of al-Qaeda, is killed in a drone strike with 0 civilian casualties. And the Biden administration makes a big deal out of this military victory. And it's an example of Biden literally acting as sort of a very strong, forceful leader. And so the Dark Brandon meme starts to proliferate. At the time, Biden also, is sick with COVID at the time of this strike. And so this photo of him that was taken a few days before at the White House with kind of weird lighting kind of gets associated with the Dark Brandon slogan. He's compared to Trump, who gets COVID, can't breathe, gets COVID, kills top al-Qaeda leader. The posting continues through that week on August 1st. And Dark Brandon, now he has lightning bolts coming out. He's sitting on a chair on August 5th. And it gets to such a point that the original community that kind of appropriated this Dark Brandon imagery from the right has decided that Dark Brandon has been co-opted by the libs. It's over. And so there's a lot of, there's now an account using Dark Brandon as a username. There's all this commentary, there's this political conversation, and then this fact checking. So the Dark Brandon memes, someone posted actually two different versions. One, this post was fact checked, found false. One, this post was fact checked by real Dark Brandon acolytes, found true. And these are two of the Dark Brandon memes that get the most used in this early period, are these two fact check ones that you can post as a reply somewhere. And so the first week of August 2022 is a really good week for the Biden administration. On August 7th, he passes the Inflation Reduction Act, which people didn't think he passed it. It really passed through this narrow vote in the Senate. And in the wake of that, Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, August 7th, is the first official government person in the United States to post a Dark Brandon meme. The actual art for this, it's not so much taken from kind of the alt-right aesthetic. It's actually taken from apparently a Chinese language post on Weibo, kind of Chinese Twitter, from 2020. And this is sort of propaganda stuff. It depicts Biden on a throne of AK-47s surrounded by zombies with glowing laser eyes. It's supposed to be very scared of him. But it kind of worked its way onto Twitter in 2021. It was kind of sitting back there submerged, and then became part of the ongoing Dark Brandon meme tradition. So Chris Murphy on August 7th is followed by a series of other government officials who are posting Dark Brandon content. Andrew Bates, the deputy press secretary. Your malarkey has been going on for long enough, kiddo, with these laser eyes. And then eventually we work our way up until this moment. Which is, in my view, kind of the end of Dark Brandon.
Ask you nicely, but he won't. I think you should buy this mug.
These color changing mugs, this post is from 3 weeks ago. They've already raised $2 million for the Biden 2024 campaign. And it's less visible than with Distracted Boyfriend or with Patrick Chained. But if you want to look at the layers here, these laser eyes, this imagery coming from this Chinese propaganda account, that's at the bottom. And on top of it, there's this new, contextual thing happening. Now it's a post that is used by the dirtbag left to make fun of the conservatives. Now it's a thing that's used by liberals who unambiguously like Biden to kind of counter and make fun of the right. And if you go down through these layers, these different audiences that are using the meme all the way up until here, this is Joe Biden with a mug that has imagery that started out as this weird, gross alt-right thing, that started out as this meme that Ted Cruz endorsed. But over the course of 2-3 years of circulating online, of being recontextualized, of being memed, it's become something different. And if you kind of look at this contextual process as something political, it kind of leads me to conclude that a lot of commentators say the question should be how to extricate Dark Brandon from kind of this alt-right vibe and context that's there. But I would say the point is that it's never not this meme that has this context to it, just like Distracted Boyfriend is never not a stock photo. And the point that is that in the course of the meme's posting and reposting, that original viewpoint is refuted and countered. And inside of the meme, through this chain of reposts, circulations, framings, reframings, postings, recontextualizations, what have you, you end up having a debate, and you end up, in a way, incorporating this aesthetic and countering it at the same time. And so sort of looking at memes as historical documents, as ways that we're going to do activism or political discourse, it poses a lot of problems, but also a lot of possibilities. There are these birds that we can track as they move across the culture, but there are also these birds that are going to lay the eggs that we're going to make our omelets out of. There are these birds that are going to be our pets, and there's these birds that could attack us, like in that Alfred Hitchcock movie, where the big flocks come down and peck you to pieces. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for staying here through this whole talk, and I'm open to any and all questions.
Thank you so much, Aidan. It's been really interesting to hear you talk about all the memes. Well, not all the memes, the 3 memes, but also like all the connections between them. It's also from the photography point of view, it's always interesting to see that switch from the single image and to try to analyze just one photo and to try to get the meaning out of it. And instead here, looking at these visual artifacts from the point of view of the network, of their network relationships. Yeah, it's been quite interesting Skinwork, and you offer a lot of things to think. Maybe a very simple and a straightforward question. How do you start working at Know Your Meme?
Well, there's actually a print magazine associated with Know Your Meme called Meme Insider. And I pitched an article to them on this French meme account called Memes Décentralisés. which kind of records countryside life in France, and they liked that pitch, and I just, kept proposing things, and it turned into a really wonderful time and journey.
Thank you. Also from my side, we have a question from the chat that I'm going to read to you. Laura is asking, hi, how do you pinpoint what name to use when writing about popular memes? Do you prefer names that are popularly used or more descriptive names? Very specific.
So that's an interesting question, and something that is kind of always hard. So to some extent, Know Your Meme is playing that SEO game. So we want the name that is most frequently searched or most descriptive for the meme, so we'll get a good page ranking. But we're also looking for the name that starts to be used online. And so when people are talking about the meme, the name that you start seeing the most often, the name that kind of coalesces, that's the name we choose. And it's kind of weird methodologically because, of course, Know Your Meme choosing that name then kind of cements that name. And so with Distracted Boyfriend, it started out as man looking at other woman. And over time, as sort of people looked at the conversation, it became Distracted Boyfriend. And for Patrick Chained, I wasn't seeing much discussion. I saw 2 or 3 kind of names being tossed around, but Patrick Chained seemed to be the most descriptive and kind of the most used and the most popular and most liked posts, talking about, oh, that meme where Patrick is chained. So good question. I hope I've given a good answer. It's a little vague, but
that's very interesting also that Know Your Meme is also playing this SEO game and somehow kind of involved in the circulation and I think also seeing the institutions that we work, like traditional photography or like museums in general, right? Like in this case, Know Your Meme is also actively, of course, shape. I guess also museums are shaping the discourse, but you know what I mean? It's like it seems more embedded in the object of the study somehow.
Yeah, and a big part of it, one of the sections that's on entries is always like a template section. So there'll be kind of the blank version of the meme. And I'm certain a lot of people actually make memes by just copy and pasting that and putting it, putting text on it. And so in a way, Know Your Meme is there because it's a bit of a vacuum. There's not meme museums. Hopefully in the future there will be. But yeah, it's kind of the ethnographic question, when you're a participant, but also an observer, what do you do? What's the best way?
In one hand, it's weird that it's not a museum or like a cultural institution which is doing this job. But in the other one, I guess that it makes sense, given like the nature of network cultures, that is also sort of like a culture that relays also on like people who is adding their knowledge and their time, or putting their time onto it, just thinking on how other like basis of network culture works. I was thinking, has any cultural institution approached Know Your Meme to try to work on some sort of a project documenting certain memes or something like that,
So it's a little above my pay grade, but we are archived by the Library of Congress in the US. And, I'm pretty sure historians of the future will use Know Your Meme because, like I said, this culture evaporates as you're trying to save it. And Know Your Meme is one of the few places where it's, we're far from perfect, I'd say, but, and we kind of focus predominantly on English language memes, although there's staff and coverage for other languages, other countries as well. But for the most part, private company. Yeah.
Thanks. It was very insightful also to go through the article, and I encourage, of course, everybody to go and read it in full about the platforms and how they evolved throughout the last 10 years. I felt it was quite shocking how fast things change every year in terms of the power dynamics of this kind of circulatory powers of images. Do you have a sense of, or could you summarize maybe how different platforms affect different circulation of images in terms of, content or even aesthetics or communities? And do you dare to do a prediction on where things are going to move next year or in the next few years? I don't know if you have thought about that.
I mean, the way I sometimes think about the platforms is there different kinds of social spaces. So you could say, like, in the same way that like a house show is going to be music, but it's going to be different than going to a big concert, or a jazz club will be different. Kind of different genres have different kind of settings. So you could see, Instagram feels a bit more private. It's kind of like you're over at your friend's house for dinner. There's 8 to 10 of you. And Twitter, you're in the middle of Times Square. So there's kind of a difference there in the kind of public artists are working for and the kind of parasocial relationship they're going to make. So that's kind of one dimension of the difference. And I think the other would be that, the platforms offer tools for creation. One of the genius things that TikTok did was that they gave people the filters and they gave people the ability to edit. And so each platform gives you different things you can do as a maker of visual content, as of videos, of whatever. So it's kind of like different mediums. It's kind of like, some people are sculptors, some people are photographers, some people are painters, and some people are on TikTok, some people are on Twitter, some people are on Reddit. And so it's in a way, it's kind of apples and oranges, or like, I guess, sculpture and watercolor. But if I were to predict where it's going to go in the future, I'd say, like, no idea. I mean, I think what might start happening is they might start getting siloed a little more. There might start being more paywalls, like Twitter's, and this is totally my opinion, not know your names. Like sort of Twitter asking for more payment, or TikTok kind of starting to kind of murder, clone, and steal aspects from other platforms. Like a lot of what Twitch does, TikTok now does. Instagram will take something from TikTok, or Instagram will take the story thing from Snapchat. And so I'd be really depressed, but I could see kind of a future where it's like, I'm a meta guy. Like, I only go on those platforms and I pay them and they offer me more services than they have in the past. And this kind of way that Distracted Boyfriend and other memes spread, where they're on all the platforms at the same time, I could see that kind of slowing down.
There's another question in the chat, from chat, asking if have you ever come across once popular meme that seems to die off only to come back again after a while in a completely different context or meaning?
Yes, Chad. Well, actually, yes, Chad would be one such meme. A lot of those kind of memes that are like Wojak comics, or kind of 4chan-y, anything that's kind of like a 4-panel nowadays. Those were really big, way back early 2010s on 4chan and image boards. And they had kind of this interesting resurgence, 2019, 2020, kind of like right before the pandemic. And I feel like that's like a really interesting question, like why that happened. I kind of have no idea. But there is sort of this 4chan meme resurgence, 2019, 2020. Yeah.
I was also thinking, like, what are the ways to monetize memes? I remember that we did a skin walk before with Idil Galip, and Idil was telling us about all these people who during the pandemic, earlier too, but there was a peak during the pandemic in which they turned into meme content creators, running meme Instagram pages or like profiles and such a thing. So I guess that a meme content creator is a way to monetize that. The other way would be this example that you show with the mags. In which other ways memes make money?
I mean, so there are meme pages that kind of work like influencers work, where they'll do some sponsored brand content, and they'll kind of intersperse that. So I think, like, there's a lot of memes about Applebee's on Instagram, which I kind of am suspicious of, as sort of being a brand thing. There's also some people, I think, who kind of go the Patreon route, and kind of build up loyal bases of subscribers, or kind of go over to a Discord and they start to kind of build that community. But the interesting thing about memes is that there's some market sort of going on, and it's a lot of these kind of influencer stuff, indirect stuff, but it's this site of artistic exchange that, kind of the heart of it is not monetary. At least in the early days, it was not at all monetized. It was just people posting for their friends or posting for their in-groups. And what they're really after is not money, but clout. And even in all these other ways of monetizing it, either through like a Patreon community or through influencer marketing, you have to get the clout first before you get the money. And so it's a different set of incentives. And it sort of reminds me, I think we're really used to an artistic market where like the goal is to sell books and have mass appeal, or like to sell, photographs. But with memes, it reminds me a little more of like where, like Michelangelo, like memers are not Michelangelo, but it's like Michelangelo doesn't need to sell a bunch of paintings. He needs to get really prestigious and have the Pope like him and have influential people like him and be honorable, and kind of circulate in that context where clout is the first. So it's kind of a different economy, and maybe it'll all be NFTs and, who knows?
Right, because also the meme economy group that you mentioned and you showed, right? How does that work, really? It's like, it sounds like there's a system in which this sort of like a spread and virality and circulation is somehow mapped to some sort of monetary gain. Does it work like stock options or?
So meme economy is great because it's like thousands of people who have just committed to that bit of comparing memes to the stock market. And what I'm sort of saying with like clout is like nobody's making money or exchanging money on meme economy. The measure is how many upvotes, how many comments, how much interaction you have. And so it's this goal of, you want to buy low, sell high. So get to a meme before it's cool. Like you want to get to a stock before a lot of people want it and they rise up the price. And then kind of abandon it when the normies get to it. And to some extent, sort of this whole system of metaphors breaks down a little bit. And there's probably a really interesting paper in the relationship between meme economy and Wall Street bets.
Right.
It's sort of it starts with this meme market metaphor. And it's very like making fun of them.
And maybe also just a little bit, since we talked about the economic side, you touched upon the political side. And of course, much has been written about the political influence of meme and how it grew over the years. I think the biggest cases we've seen is the influence of meme in the Trump campaign and Brexit. You've obviously demonstrated that now memes have reached even presidential candidates or presidents and senators or politicians themselves. I often wonder like how much memes are actually shaping these campaigns. Do you think that we have reached a point where this is even like the majority of the investment of the campaigns and the influence that they have in shaping votes, or are still kind of like a part together with more traditional ways of political campaigns? Could we, or do you have any idea how that evolved in the last few years, and what is now the role of memes politically?
It's I think, it's like memes have not replaced every other kind of media, definitely. But memes do offer this way to counter program. Because in the past, to like succeed politically, I think you had to, say something that would be aired on cable news, or cultivate a relationship with a reporter, or get your message out either directly talking to people in person or going through these other channels. And not just memes, but the internet kind of offer now this third way, which has really been kind of taken advantage, I think, by fringe groups on the right, but then also in a good way by sort of people on the left kind of pushing new narratives and new ideas and new social movements. And a lot of meme scholarship has focused on that with good reason. But I think in a way it's just another factor at play in culture. And I don't really know how it'll evolve in the years to come. I know Biden is not going to be the last president to, post memes, be into memes. And often, it's the person who's most popular online who's going to, get the momentum for a campaign. And I think everybody knows that at this point. What was I going to say? I totally lost it. Yeah.
No worries. We have several questions on the chat, in fact, so
Okay.
maybe I can follow up with the questions. That's, for instance, Alan was asking if memes are culturally important, how will they be preserved, as in written canon or literature, or perhaps they won't be, and that's the point?
I think, they won't be. It's logistically impossible. I think, it's ephemeral. It's a little like, the way I've said it sometimes, talking about why they interest me as historical sources, is that like people will tweet or post about the kind of stuff that in a past era they would have just talked about. Like if you're trying to study like the year 1600, paper's really expensive back then. People are going to be writing like contracts, government decrees, birth certificates, and all this stuff about, like, oh, the Duchess, looks funny today, or like, oh my God, I hate it when I have to churn butter. They're just going to talk. And so the historian has no record of that because someone just said it. And so a lot of memes are kind of like that oral culture that's ephemeral. But I think they should be preserved. And the number one method is screenshotting. It's kind of simple, but just to have kind of the pivotal points going on. And one scary thing I think of is there's this study that came out a few months ago looking at the hashtag Black Lives Matter in 2023. And they found something like a third of all the posts from 2020, that summer, the George Floyd summer, that used that hashtag were already gone in 2023. And so there's something scary about that, thinking, worst case scenario, years down the line, if a lot of history and a lot of politics keeps happening through memes and there's no record, you can just lie about it. So I think it's really important to screenshot and get that record going, just for the sake of kind of, having a sense of what history is. As more and more things happen through this media, how are you gonna?
Yeah, even if we are, like, I could say, fans of screenshotting here at the Screenworks, I do acknowledge also that we miss all the links and all the connections, all the network nature of the meme as well, no, and all the like changes and the comments and the likes and all this sort of like contextual information that goes along with it. So it's a tricky, very difficult thing to solve, no, to a question to solve, how to preserve them and how to create a proper record of memes. But there are more questions in the chat.
Yeah, I also wanted to bring a question from the Twitch chat, because you guys are also free to write there. So we have Petra Zeman writing, I feel like the affirmation type meme pages seem to make a lot of merch like t-shirts. I wonder the difference between a meme that can be sold on a t-shirt as merch and the meme that cannot.
I think there is a difference. And it's kind of like what makes something, it's a question of, kind of standards. What makes a meme good? What makes a meme dank? Meme economy has a whole vocabulary for this. They'll say this meme is normie, meaning it's overplayed, overused. This meme is dank, meaning it's good. And so I think every meme community kind of has its own standards to get developed for evaluating something. And I think you're totally right in that there are certain memes that, they'd be ruined if you put them on a t-shirt, or, you'd either not want to wear that t-shirt in public, or you'd wear it and, nobody would get it. And that's the value and kind of the treasure in those kind of memes. And then there's those, like you're saying, affirmation memes, I think, that you can put on a t-shirt and that then are kind of valuable in a mass market way. And I think that sort of falls into this thing of, genre. Like there's some movies where, I'd want that movie poster on a t-shirt. And then there's other movies where I'm like, maybe not, either because I don't want to be that guy wearing, I don't know, like the millionth guy wearing a Pulp Fiction t-shirt, or like wearing some t-shirt no one's going to get. And so I think there are some memes that you can't put on a t-shirt.
Following up with this idea of genre, of meme genres, there's another question in the chat asking if you have a specific niche within meme research that you specialize in, if there's some sort of like a specific genre or meme, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I'm mostly like a Twitter person, less and less now. I'm really into sort of like surreal memes, I've spent a lot of time just, kind of like theory memes or like leftist memes as well. Big text box memes. But most of all, I'd say I'm interested in stuff like I don't like to go too niche. I like kind of normie memes. I like the place where memes meet, other conversations like politics or entertainment, culture kind of stuff. So spend a lot of time on Twitter and more time on TikTok. But I'm also Reddit, Instagram, Tumblr a little too.
Just a regular meme guy.
Yeah, I don't discriminate. I love all memes. I'll take anything.
I hope you have time just for one more question. We're aware we took a lot of your time, but maybe one last question from Brian, who asks, you showed a meme bashing brands for how they poorly co-opt memes for advertisement purposes from 2017. Do you think brands have gotten better at disguising themselves lately? Do you think we will get to a point when it is indistinguishable?
Yeah, Brian, I'd say, they're getting better at it in part because the people making the PR and the marketing now are like us. They're like young people who grew up with memes. And in the past, it's kind of the cringe, like Wendy's, I'm the intern, they're making me post this meme. But now I think, it's become much more established in the culture. There's a lot of courses in it. And I think there's just a lot more experience that people have with what works and what doesn't work. So I think brand marketing is getting a lot better and more effective. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I guess that on that note we can wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Aidan. It's been a super interesting Skinwalk. We've learned a lot about memes. It's been a really interesting journey. Like I'm following you through all these memes through the different platforms and networks. So thank you so much again for being with us, and thank you to everyone who joined too.
And thank you, of course, also from my side. You've been like an incredible tour guide in this world, and I think you are now officially crowned the world-renowned expert in the distracted boyfriend meme, right? Which was like kind of, now we have the official coronation ceremony. And for the rest of the people online, thanks again for joining, and we see you again in 2 weeks when we're going to have a Screenwalks with Maya Mann.
Yeah, we'll be here again in 2 weeks. So please join us with Maya. And yeah, thank you, Aidan.
Yeah. Thank you all so much. By the way, you can check out Know Your Meme, my work there. And also I have a Substack where I go more into this stuff, how to do things with memes. So thank you all so much for coming. And thank you to John and Marco.